Welcome to our newest short-term rental Airbnb listing in Cincinnati, Ohio. We recently just closed on this house a couple days ago, and I want to take you behind the scenes to show you how everything looks from closing to everything we do to get it guest ready in just 14 days. This is a 3-bed, 3.5-bath new construction house with a 2-car tandem garage, fenced yard, rooftop deck, and a cute little balcony off the main level of the house. As you can see, we've already started work at this house, and that's because we're on a very tight timeline and we want to get this house up and running as quickly as possible. But before we get into the house tour, I want to share why we picked this house for a short-term rental and the pink cash cow method for picking profitable short-term rentals in Cincinnati, Ohio. So overall, there's 3 factors that make it profitable. The first one is location. Location is the most important factor out of the 3 because location is something that you cannot change. You cannot move a house from one street to the other, move it from one neighborhood to the other. You can renovate the entire house, but you cannot change the location. And so for that reason, location is the most important factor of a short-term rental. In this particular house, we're in the Mount Auburn district of Cincinnati. We're about 5 minutes to downtown, 5 minutes to a lot of the hospitals in the area, and it's very central to Class A neighborhoods like Oakley, Hyde Park, and very nice street full of new construction houses. The second factor is the layout and the finishes of the house. So layout means how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what is the parking situation, are there any weird configurations of bedrooms and rooms in the house. So in this house, because it's a new construction, we've got super modern finishes that we're not going to do anything to, and a lot of people really like because it's so new. And one of the most important characteristics is that we have a bathroom in every single bedroom. So that is very important, the ratio of bedrooms to bathrooms. There have been short-term rentals I've seen where people buy a house and there's a 4-bed, 1-bath. So can you imagine 8 people in a short-term rental sharing 1 bathroom? That is not good for a short-term rental. So in this house, because we have a good ratio of bedrooms to bathrooms, this is a very ideal situation for a short-term rental. The third factor is going to be the design and furnishing. So that is something that owners can control in terms of how something looks on the inside, because that is how guests are booking. They look at the pictures and they decide if they want to stay there or somewhere else. And if your pictures don't attract them initially, then they're not even going to click into the listing and read what other great things you have at the house. So I will cover a lot of our design and furnishing vision and ideas as we do the house tour. So other than the 3 factors, the other most important thing is going to be the numbers. So we want to run the numbers and make sure that this house is actually going to make money, because it doesn't make sense to do a short-term rental if we can't make money on it. So one of the really enticing things about this house is the property tax abatement. So in the city of Cincinnati, the city allows property tax abatements on properties in certain neighborhoods if you renovate or do a new construction on the house to bring in investment into the area. So this property has a 15-year tax abatement up to $565,000 of the purchase price, which means instead of paying $12,000 a year on property taxes, we are only paying $2,500 of property taxes on this house. So that makes a really big difference in your monthly cash flow. So as we run our numbers, that is another reason why we really like this house. So let's get into the house tour, and we're gonna start with the front of the house. The front of the house is the dining area, and because it's a new construction house, we're not doing much to this place. So we're painting and we're changing the light fixtures. That is the bulk of the work here before we get everything ready. And changing the light fixtures from the builder grade and painting is what is going to make the biggest difference in this house. So I always like to go with something a little light and airy. So the colors are going to be really light, You'll see that at the final video. And then we are going to do a rectangular table here, which is why we intentionally went with a rectangular light fixture here. And one of the things to keep in mind as you design a short-term rental is that you want something that is super unique, but also look very good in pictures. So that's the reason why we picked these two light fixtures. So this is a really unique light fixture for the living room, and that is not something that you're gonna find on Amazon or at Home Depot. And so those are really good investment pieces to pick for the house. And this is the living room. So we're gonna have a couch here. We're actually gonna put curtains up along these two windows, even though there are blinds. And just to give the wall some color, we're gonna have some accent chairs on both sides of the sectional coffee table. And then obviously a big screen TV. And that is the living area. So as we move into the kitchen, we are gonna do bar stools over here, and we're gonna do bar stools on the island. So they will kind of match, but we're going with leather for a lot of the bar stools just because it's easy to clean. We're not making any changes into the kitchen. This is a very classic modern kitchen with your typical white cabinets, granite countertops, and tile along the backsplash, and even tile underneath the island, which is really nice because then you won't have dirty footprints when people sit here. These pendants are not really my favorite, but it will do for the kitchen. I'm not really gonna put too much into the pendants here. This little bar area is super nice. It gives some color into the space, and it kind of elevates it because it fills a space and also has a place for people to put wine and drinks to keep it cool. So this kitchen is one of the nicest things about this house. Is very open concept. It also leads into the balcony, which by the way is super close to the neighbors, but that is how houses are in Cincinnati, close to downtown. So very cold outside, but take a look at the neighbors. And so one of the really important things we do is, because as you can see, we're very close to the neighbors, so it's really important for us to vet the guests. So we are not gonna have guests who are gonna come out here and throw a party, damage the house because we put so much investment into this house. And so that is the most important thing for us as we operate our short-term rentals, is we're gonna make sure people who are coming in are gonna take care of the house, and they're not gonna cause problem for us with the neighbors, because we don't want to get calls from the police. We don't want to get reports from the city. So above all else, protecting the house is important to us. This is the lower level of the house. There's no basement in this house, but this is the direct garage door entry into the house. You can see it's wide enough to fit some bigger cars, and it can fit 2 cars. And there's a door that goes directly into the fenced backyard. So if somebody does have a dog, which we do allow pets sometimes, they can just directly let their dog out instead of having to go up the stairs and find another way. And this is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath in the lower level. So if somebody doesn't like stairs, this could be a good place for them to stay. We're not doing much to the bedrooms. We're patching the walls. There's gonna be a queen bed and a dresser. And it's really nice because it comes with its own full bathroom, all tile, so it's easy to clean. This is the second floor of the house, and there are 2 bedrooms here with 2 ensuite bathrooms and the laundry room. What I love about this house is the super tall ceiling, which you don't really get around here. So the front of the house is a bedroom. This is also going to be a queen bedroom. Other than painting, we're not going to do anything else to it. There were really old curtain rods here that we took down. We're going to put up some modern ones. We did have to patch up a water leak that was in the corner It's now covered up. We're repainting the ceilings, the walls, and the best part is this ensuite bathroom. I just love bathrooms. I love it when every bedroom has a bathroom. So you can see this is the full bathroom. It even has a bathtub. So when families have kids or some people just like to take a bath, it has a tub for that, which is also very rare in Cincinnati for some reason. Like a lot of the places are very tight. So normally there are just showers. So it's very nice that there's a tub here and some storage space. And then we're going back into the hallway, laundry room on the second floor, which is really nice. And then now we're going into the primary bedroom. In this bedroom, this is the primary bedroom. So we are doing a lot of the same things that we're doing in the other bedrooms, painting, and we're gonna do blinds and curtains. So for bedrooms, we like to do room darkening or blackout curtains. So it gives it not just some privacy and adds color, but it also creates that darkness for people to sleep in. And in the primary bedrooms, we always do a king bed. So we're gonna have a king bed. This is a very tight space for a king bed, but we are gonna make it work, and we're just gonna do 2 tiny nightstands instead. And then we are also going to have a big screen TV on this wall with a dresser, because I started adding that to every bedroom now that a lot of guests want TVs in the bedroom. After somebody told me that they would not book a house without a TV in the master bedroom, I am adding it to all the bedrooms. And then this is the ensuite bathroom here, dual vanity, granite countertops, and you can't see it, but it's got different colored gray cabinets, a shower, a toilet room, and a walk-in closet. So one of the coolest things about this house is the rooftop deck. I actually wish there were more living space out here because there's a lot of wasted space around this deck, but either way, it is still pretty cool. So up here we have a wet bar and a little beverage fridge. This deck is not very pretty right now because it's snowy, but it's a super cool place to be in the summer, even though you're gonna see all the neighbors and look to see what they're doing. But for that reason, again, we wanna make sure the guests are not being obnoxious on the rooftop deck. So we're about halfway done with setting up this house now. And one of the biggest reasons we're able to do everything in 14 days is because of the pre-planning that comes into this. So before the house closes, we have all the furniture picked out, all the design ready, everything ordered and scheduled to be delivered and put together within a few days of closing. And right after the property closes, we have somebody going in to do the prep work, and then the painting, flooring as needed, and then the major furniture come in. And from there, it's about the bulk of the work because we have a lot of the bones and the layout ready, but the majority of the work is going to be in the very minor details and getting everything set up. If you want a detailed outline of how we're able to do this, I have another video that I can link below for you to check out and go through in more detail. So one of the things that we do is test how quickly something dries, because we want to make sure our turnover is the smoothest as possible for the cleaner. That is quick for getting the house ready, but it's also less frustrating for our cleaners too. And so one of the things that we do is we test how quickly things dry. So in this house, I'm trying out different rugs here because one of the things we have done in the previous bath mats is we've used this top one, and it just doesn't last as long, like the seam starts coming apart, but this dries super fast. So this time I'm trying out some of the thicker ones. We're trying out this thick one, some of the performance rugs. I'm gonna wash it and dry it, and I'm gonna see how long it takes to dry compared to the towels and everything else that the cleaner is washing and drying. And then from there, I'm gonna decide which bath mat to use. So these are the tests that we run all the time. We've done that for all our sheets, all our duvet covers, like everything that we've done, we have to get it as optimized as possible. And that's just kind of the things that we do in our operations to help our cleaners and help with the turnover process. Today, we are coming back into the house to finish up a couple of the major furniture that we have left to put together, the dining table and the bed. The rest of the major furniture is here. And the other thing that we're gonna do today is a lot of the handyman stuff that requires drilling into the walls, like mounting a TV, mounting curtain rods, that we are gonna do today, so that tomorrow the cleaner can come and clean up all the muddy footprints off the floors from the movers and everyone, and clean up all the mess from the floors so that we can start getting ready the house for the minor details. So let's go inside and take a look. All right, so what do you wanna do first today?
So I guess we'll start with the dining room table. We got a lot of stuff unpacked already. So we've got the dining room table unpacked. We got the chairs unpacked. You can see a lot of the clutter in the background. We're gonna be putting up curtain rods today. We've got TVs that we're gonna be putting up. So we got that laid out. So yeah, we'll get started.
Okay, so let's start with this. We'll do the curtain rods, the TVs. We'll do the dining table, we'll do the TV, and then we'll go upstairs, do the curtain rod, and then finish up the bed so the cleaner can clean tomorrow.
Okay, sounds great.
Moment of truth for this new dining table I'm trying out. I hope it looks good. Just lift it up.
We're just gonna like tilt it over.
Oh, it's definitely heavy.
Now lift it up.
Just put it under the chandelier. Okay, how's it look?
That's good. Yeah.
Like what you use at home is going to be very different than what you would put into something that gets a lot more usage. So a lot of the things I look for is it has to be sturdy, has to be functional, and it has to be guest proof in a way. So I'm not gonna buy something where like the wood grains peel off very easily, and I'm not gonna get something where it's like easy for the guests to break. Like if they set something hot on it, it's not gonna get like a stain. So this material seems pretty sturdy, but we will see because it has to last. And I like buying furniture that's gonna last years and years and years. So once we put it in, I don't wanna have to touch it again. Because before, I used to buy cheaper furniture from Wayfair. And I had to change the furniture out like every single year because they would get broken every single year. It's like something breaks all the time. And so now I always buy pieces that are very, very, very sturdy and long lasting. Like this is what they're meant to do. And it's a lot more expensive than like a couple $100s on Wayfair, but you don't have to replace it. You don't have to do it over and over again. And so to me, it's worth it a lot more. Like you're saving a lot more on the back end because you're investing in the right pieces up front.
17 inches. And that's about 17. So
Dang, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's it.
Get as big of a TV as you can to fill the wall. So this TV is gonna fill this wall because that wall is not the biggest. But if you have a huge, long, wide wall, I would get like really big TV, because I have seen other people who set up a place in the basement and it's supposed to be this entertainment center, and they put like a 43-inch TV and it's like this big 2,200 square foot basement with a big wall. So it's like really out of proportion. Well, first of all, like 43 inches is super tiny, but like a tiny 43-inch on a big wall is also like very just not functional either. So if it's going to be in an entertainment space, make it big and make the TV fit the space. So I thought they were individual, but it was actually a set of 2 each. So thank goodness. So the reason we're putting curtains in this room, even though there are blinds, is to get that blackout look. So a lot of people come and they want that darkness when they sleep. So we have curtains for that, and also to give the room some color. So the bedrooms, we don't always do curtains, but in this case we are doing curtains for the look and to help more with the privacy, since it already has blinds here. Typically we would do blackout blinds that when you pull down it's like fully blackout, but these blinds came with it, so we're not replacing it. It lets some light through, so we're putting the curtains up in this case. So for the curtain rods, I have tried multiple ones, and the ones that I use now are from Williams-Sonoma. They are very sturdy. They will not break, they will not fall off the walls, they're not flimsy. We've tried some other ones and they're just super flimsy, especially when it becomes so long like this. So that's the rod we use now. And then the next thing we're gonna do is measure the length of the curtain. So I got the 96 inches. I like to put it as close to the ceiling as possible, so that way it makes the room look tall, but not like overly dragging on the floor either. So we're gonna see how it looks. We're gonna measure it out, so we'll see. This year is the first year that we are starting back up and setting up houses, and now with a little supervisor. So it's been learning how to work with a baby. So he is coming along, and Jared can't wait until he can start helping. He said he's gonna teach him how to use a drill. But so far right now, we'll just get as much done as we can during his nap, and then we'll like rotate. So like sometimes I do things and Jared helps take care of the baby, or sometimes I'll take care of the baby if Jared needs to do something. So we're trying to figure that balance out. But yeah, so he's gonna be part of all our house setups and everything.
A lot of these things you're not able to actually tell if it's done correctly unless you're looking at it yourself, and people can send you pictures, they can tell you that they did it, you know, perfectly, but until you look at it, verify it with your own eyes, then you know, unless you have somebody that's like really good on the ground, I mean, and that's what we're here for.
I see so many owners who set things up themselves but don't know people in the area to do it, and then they trust the wrong person, or they try to find contractors themselves, and then they ask us to go in and take a look, and once we look at it, we're like, this is not done correctly at all. And the furniture may not be great, or things are crooked, or things they don't know happen. Like some things look good in pictures, but once you go in person, you're like, wow, this is cracked, or this tile is not even put in correctly. So having boots on ground is the most important thing for a short-term rental. Like nothing, no VAs, no anything can replace somebody physically going to the house and checking on things, whether that's setup, the daily ongoing operations of it. That is what make and break your short-term rental.
We've had owners come back to the property after a couple of years in operation, and they actually made the comments that, like, oh my gosh, like this looks like the same as when I left it. And so I think that, you know, having those checks and kind of proactive items to do before something turns into a problem. The last thing that you want to do is the first guest that you have come stay is send you a message on the Saturday night saying that, like, hey, the bathtub is, you know, backed up, or, you know, we got a toilet that's, you know, plugged up. So you want to make sure that that stuff is taken care of before, you know, somebody comes and has a bad experience.
Today is the last day we are working in the house. We are getting listing pictures with the photographer and some marketing materials for this Airbnb. And we are doing the final touches before we make it guest ready. So let's go inside, and I can't wait to show you how it looks now. Every single piece that we pick in our houses that we furnished is super intentional. So every piece has a purpose, and every dollar that we spend on the house has a return on investment. There's a reason why we bought all of that. So in the dining room, the light fixture is a unique piece that we purposely picked to look good. And that is the main reason of this light fixture, because this is something that you're not gonna find at Target, you're not gonna find at Home Depot. It is super unique, and the reason we picked that is because we want the hero images to look good. And so we have an option to pick between the dining room, the living room with the light fixtures to see what would make it look good. And that is the main reason, because most of the light source is gonna come from the ceiling can lights. That is what's gonna light up the space. 3 lights on this light fixture could be very moody and romantic if somebody wants to have a romantic dinner, but it's not gonna be the light source for this space if you need to look at something or find something on the floor. And the other thing is the dining table. So the dining table has to seat the number of guests that this house can hold. So in this case, it's 6. And so we picked a sturdy top, something that is not going to just fall over. It has wood legs, so it's not a flimsy table that could break. And then same thing with the chairs. This is a very sturdy piece of chair. We have bought these style before from the same brand, so we know that this is not going to break if somebody sits on it. And it is also cushioned, it's comfortable to sit in. And this is the first time we've actually used a brand for the table, so we will see if it lasts time, if it can withstand all the wear and tear. The other thing is you don't see a rug here in the dining room. And the reason we started not doing rugs in the dining room is because as people eat, it gets dirty, it gets messy. So unless in terms of the looks, we actually need some color in this space, then we definitely choose not to put a rug down. And that's just because it's harder to maintain, it's harder to clean, and it's just one of the things that we have decided not to do anymore, especially since this is super close to the living room, where we do have a rug in the living room. So that's why we don't have one here. And behind me, we do have curtains. The curtains are just to bring color into the space. We don't necessarily need it in the living room because it's not a sleeping area. So we don't need to like have a bunch of like room darkening curtains or anything like that. So that is just for looks. And that's just to bring color into the space and kind of fill the front because there's not really like a really good piece of furniture that can fit right next to the windows. And so that's how we decided on the colorful curtains plus some plants. And then this little spot here is also just for decor and looks. So as we go into the living room, we do have a full-length mirror here. And the reason we have a full-length mirror in all of our places is because guests like to just take a look at their entire outfit before they go out or as they're trying on different things. It is a nice thing to have so that everybody can use it for that reason. And so we have that in all of our houses now, at least one. If you don't have it in the living room, you have it in the bedroom, you have it upstairs somewhere, but just somewhere where people don't have to like just go to the bathroom to look at themselves. They can look at their full outfit in a full-length mirror. In the living room, as you can see, we have very comfortable seating couches, and they are very wide, they are very firm but cushiony, and it can sit enough people for the 6. And the reason we picked this fabric, even though it looks light, is it's a performance fabric, so it can withstand a lot of wear and tear, and it could be cleaned through upholstery cleaning. So every year we do an upholstery cleaning just in case there are any stains and things like that. So we do clean it. But for example, if we are going to allow pets, which we don't plan on doing at this place currently, unless it's like an exception that we approve of. But if we were to have pets, then we have to take into consideration pet hair, because dogs are gonna shed, cats are gonna shed, cats are gonna scratch. So the furniture that you are gonna buy is gonna be very different if we are furnishing a place that allows pets versus one that does not allow pets. And same thing with this chair. As you can see, it is very deep, so it's very comfortable for you to sit in, lean back in, swivel around, watch the TV, talk to people. This is the example of the pieces that we spend more money on. So this chair is not going to be $200 or $300. The couch is not going to be $200 or $300 from Wayfair. It is going to be pieces that are going to last for years and years to come, and pieces that we can clean and use over and over again. So this is not something that is going to break every year that we have to replace, but it is also very comfortable. It's not going to be super hard as a rock like some of the couches you might have sit in before. It's going to be comfortable and a really nice place for people to gather. In the coffee table, we chose to go with this wood just for the look. But we will put coasters here just so if guests are drinking water, coffee, they will hopefully use a coaster to protect the surface. But other materials that we have previously liked are going to be things that are easy to clean. So you've got glass, you've got layers, marble, like anything on top that could be easy to clean. And everything up here is just for looks. And I don't like super cluttered, even though we could make it a lot more homey feeling, put some coffee table books, put a bunch of stuff on here, but they do get dirty, it's easy to break. So we put enough to kind of give it some color, make it look nice still, but not too much that we have to maintain it and get rid of it if it gets dirty and that kind of thing. And the same thing with the pillows. We don't put too many pillows because they do get dirty, they do get stained. So when we do, we want to get ones that can be washable. So all of the pillow covers are washable. And as you can see, same thing with the light fixture here. We picked a unique piece that can be used when we take listing photos, and it gives us just options as to what we pick between the different areas. And also it gives us different angles. As he's shooting, we can pick out different pictures for the listing video. Okay, so let's go into the kitchen. So in the kitchen, we have all leather seats. And the reason we are doing leather seats is because it's easy to clean. When people eat, there's gonna be crumbs on the floor, they might spill drinks, they might spill something. It is gonna be a lot easier to clean than more cloth type fabric. So we try to stay away from the cloth as much as possible. So we did upholstery cloth in the dining room. So we're going with leather in the kitchen and the island area. And that way, It just adds a pop of color, but also functionally is very easy to clean. And so as you can see here, we have a backless stool just because the walkway is a little narrow, so we don't want things that are kind of bulky and blocking it. The other thing I want to point out is this is real wood. This is not some flimsy thing where people can sit on it and it might break. So if you have kids that are coming and they climb on it, or any adults that come and sit on it and they decide to lean back or do anything that they want to do, it is not going to be super easy to break. And so these type of pieces are not going to be your $50 bar stools from Amazon or Wayfair or anything you can find that is a lot cheaper. These are going to be your investment pieces, pieces that you will use and is going to last a long time. So that's why we have the seating here. We have the 4, and that's just to account for all the guests that are here. In the bar area, we have some things that are just for looks. So we've got some cocktail glasses, some drinking glasses, but that will not be the actual glasses that guests will be drinking out of. Those are going to be in the cabinets. So in the cabinets, we have as much as we can put, actually. We do a minimum of 2x per guest, and that is going to be your 2x of wine glasses, mugs, and bourbon glasses we do provide now, some champagne glasses. And that's just because when a guest uses something and you only provide 6 and there's 6 people staying, then every time they drink, they're gonna have to wash it. Every time they drink something, they're gonna have to wash it, and that's kind of a pain. So we wanna give them multiple ones so they don't have to wash every single time they use something. And same thing with utensils. Like, I use this fork, okay, there's no more forks, so I gotta go wash it before I can eat my dessert or something. So that's kind of a pain. And so that is one of the things you have to do at all the places, is have multiples of these type of dinnerware, silverware, and drinkware. Other thing I want to point out is going to be the coffee area. We provide Keurig because it's easy for people to figure out how to use. Lots of people know how to use a Keurig machine. You can also do an espresso, so that is a pretty good coffee machine for a short-term rental. Some people like to provide drip coffee, and we don't do that, and we chose not to do that because the coffee grounds do expire, and that is going to be hard to keep up with because we provide the coffee. And so we just provide Starbucks coffee and do the Keurig machine. On the other end, we don't also go and provide an espresso machine. And the reason for that is because people don't know how to use it more often than not. So unless you're like a barista, a lot of them, or have one at your house, a lot of people have a bunch of questions. So we had one at one of the places and the guests just didn't know how to use it, or it would kind of like mess up the machine. And so we just eventually went back to an espresso or a Keurig machine. So that is the reason why I wouldn't go super extreme on that end and just stay with something most people know how to use. Another thing I want to point out is we do have really good pots and pans. Okay, if you are going to accommodate a big family, then the pots and pans need to be able to cook for a big family. It can't just be a bunch of mini pans, and it can't just be 1 or 2 mini pans. You can have multiples of them. And so we do nonstick and stainless steel. You can pick whichever one you want to do, but we do both. And because we do have nonstick, we put silicone cookware, okay? So people aren't scraping your nonstick with stainless steel things, and because that takes off the coating. So that is one thing to keep in mind, and that is just how detailed we have to be with everything that we pick. And the reason I know it is because we've been through it before. I've had people take stainless steel and scrape, and that's why you see all these marks in the pans, because they're like scraping things as they're cooking. And it's not their fault, it's just because it's stainless steel and it can't withstand the pots. And so we took all that out. So if you're gonna buy non-stick, you've gotta use silicone, soft things for people to cook with. And you can't just assume that people know that's what to use. So we don't even give them the option of stainless steel. It is all silicone. If we do stainless steel, you can provide stainless steel if you would like, because it does last, or you can continue with the silicone. So that is another detail that I want to point out in the kitchen. There are so many more details in the kitchen for us to go through, but that is going to be the most important ones. And I will just end this kitchen part, and then let's go take a look at the bedroom. So this is the guest bedroom. And in the guest bedroom, we have a queen size bed, because we like to do a minimum of a queen size unless we're targeting just specifically for kids. But this is the queen size bed. We pick unique duvet covers for our designs of the beds. And that is just so it stands out, it looks different. And also because it is a duvet, it's also very functional because it's easy for the cleaners to wash, which we always love to do. And the other important thing about bedspreads and sheets is that we use 100% cotton. And that is super important to us because we want the guests to feel comfortable when they're sleeping in, not scratchy fabric. And we also don't like microfiber because it attracts so much hair. So all of our pieces are going to be 100% cotton, and they are going to be from designer brands like Brooklinen or West Elm or any of similar brands like that. So that is one of the important things for sheets, for comfort and also for looks in terms of the bedspread. We also do put a little seating area or cube or a place just for guests to set stuff down. We also do a folded like suitcase holder that is in their closets for them to use so they can set their suitcases down. And in this particular case, they get a full closet so they can hang their clothes up and things. We don't always provide a dresser, so we do in 2 of the 3 bedrooms here, but this room, we don't have that much space, so we're just gonna have them use the closet and then just something here to set the towels or set their clothes and set something down on here. And nightstands, we do 1 on each side, very sturdy ones. So in this case, our nightstand is marble. It's got a lamp on both sides. It's got plugs for them to charge their phone if they want to. Lots of people also do like USB chargers or one of those like charge banks that you can put multiple chargers on, so that could work too. We just leave them to use the plugs. In the bathroom, because I love how there are so many bathrooms in this house. In this bathroom, they get their own everything. We provide towels, multiple types of towels for them. And the most important thing is going to be the shower curtain here in terms of maintenance. So we want to make sure it is stuck to the wall. It is not going to come down if somebody pulls on it, unless you want to come over here all the time and put it back up. So all of ours are nailed in. They are not gonna fall off if they try to pull on it. It is also gonna be washable, so they're gonna get dirty. And a lot of our exterior shower curtains are gonna be cotton and washable, so we can wash it again. So that is the guest bedroom. Let's go take a look here into the laundry room. So this is the most important section for operations, for cleaners. So all the good Airbnb experienced cleaners are gonna ask, what is the washing and drying situation? So unless you are taking laundry out to wash, a good set of washer and dryers are going to make or break your turnovers. And for that reason, we have tested all brands of washers and dryers. We've tested Samsungs, LGs, like everything. And we have came down to find that this set is going to be the best type of washers and dryers you can ever find for turnovers. And in fact, we think it is more efficient to have this than take laundry out. But that just depends on your situation and your beds and linens and stuff. So that is super important. We provide detergent for the guests and the cleaners to use, but really important quick note here. So let's go into the master bedroom. In the master bedroom, we have a king bed, and that is very intentional because Lots of people love king beds. I've had guests who say, I will not book a place unless it has a king bed. And so this room, we made sure to make a king bed fit. We even went with smaller nightstands so a king bed can fit. And so that is how important the king bed is. And then again, we go with unique bedspreads that are 100% cotton. All of the pillows are 100% cotton as well. Same thing with the sheets. We do mattress protectors, bed bug protectors. That's gonna be super important. So everything is intentional. Same thing with a mattress. A mattress in general and all of our places is another piece that you want to invest in. Same with the bed. The bed, the mattress, the nightstands, you can kind of go a little bit cheaper on, but those two pieces are gonna be super important because number one, they're gonna be important for comfort for people who are gonna sleep in it. And a lot of guests are gonna have different variations of what they like. Some people like super soft ones, some people like super firm ones. You can kind of go with a middle ground, or you can pick one and provide them a topper if you want. But for us, we picked the best mattresses that guests leave the best reviews on or have always commented and say, oh, I love that mattress, what do you use? So that is the one we put in all of our places. And a bed is super important because when I first started, I picked beds that were on Wayfair and they were $200. So it was pre-COVID. So you can get a bed for $250, but they break in a few months actually. It's people come in and the bed is broken and now you have a guest come in at the same time. And so you're rushing to put the bed together before the next guests get here. And so that was way too much. And again, let's say you buy $250, the bed breaks, you gotta get another one, or you gotta come up with something else to rig it up before the next guest. And so because of that, we pick solid wood beds. This is going to be really hard to break. I have not had any of these beds break on me in the years ever since I started using them. And so my philosophy is with a lot of these bigger pieces of furniture, it might be a bit more upfront, but you don't have to touch it again. I don't want to have to come back over here between every single guest and work on the slats, have somebody fix what's going on. The bed breaks is not a good experience for the guests, and it's a lot of stress for you to try to fix this in between guests too. And so that is one of the reasons why we just automatically do this up front. A really nice mattress. It's okay if it's $1,000. You won't buy another one and you're gonna get good reviews. Same thing with the bed. And so that is a super important thing to point out. Another thing we do is just some seating areas for them to put their clothes on, a seating area for them to sit if they want to. In this case, we do provide a dresser with a TV. And that is just because I've had enough guests say, I want a TV in the master bedroom. Lots of people watch TV in bed. So we only do this in the primary instead of all the bedrooms. And we do have a dresser here because some people like to unpack their suitcase and put things away. So in this case, we have enough space. So we are doing a dresser and a place to put the TV. And in terms of the bathroom, we provide full amenities in terms of shampoo, conditioner, hand soap, and also a few minor things like makeup removers, cotton pads, different things like that that the guests would really appreciate. So that's the smaller touches that are super important that people may not think of, but it is really helpful to the guests, and it's also helpful to you in terms of maintaining your towels. You can't make a guest use a makeup remover, but you can provide it for them. So hopefully they don't use your towels to clean up their makeup. So that is another reason why we do that. Let's go look at the last guest bedroom in the bottom. And as we are coming up here, this is the stairs to the rooftop. We're gonna have outdoor furniture for them and it's gonna look super nice, but because it's February here, we are leaving that for when it warms up in the spring. So it will be there in the spring and we are gonna have pictures of that once everything is there. But right now we're gonna wait for the snow to melt, and it's just easier and newer for the guests if it hasn't been rained on and snowed on and stuff. This is the third bedroom in the house. It is in the lower level. So in here, the space is kind of tiny. So we are still able to fit a queen bed, and it has the same as we discussed in other places, the cotton bedspread, the cotton beds, bed sheets, and a really nice mattress. So even though it is not the primary bedroom, we still don't skimp on the mattresses. All of the bedrooms have really good quality mattresses. And because it's kind of tiny, we don't have space to put 2 nightstands. So we are just going with 1 and a lamp. And we also don't have space for a dresser in the bedroom. So we do have that in the closet. So this closet is super deep with a big wall at the end. So we put the dresser there so the guests have a place to put their stuff. They can store their suitcases in the closet, and they can also hang stuff. So in this house, we're leaving all the closets open for the guests, and we are storing our own inventory in a separate place. So that is the end of the bedrooms. So I hope you really enjoyed the tour of the house and everything that we have done in the last 14 days and seeing the process. So if you are looking to invest in real estate and are interested in Cincinnati, please reach out to me and we can look to see if we can find a house for you that would be a great short-term rental. And just know that I'm not gonna recommend properties that we wouldn't buy ourselves. And that's just because we own ourselves. And so we know what it takes to make a return on your investment. So if you're interested, please reach out to us and book a call, and we'll see if we can do something for you. And also follow for part 2, because we are gonna run the short-term rental for a while, and then we're gonna come back and share all the numbers with you, from the purchase price, the expenses, all the monthly costs, and then all the revenue that we are able to generate with this short-term rental. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.